Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 188 of the podcast, or you're joining us live on YouTube or on Facebook Live. If you missed last week's episode, we are now doing Facebook Live. Thanks to an upgrade on StreamYard, we're able to broadcast in both places. So if Facebook is your thing, then you can watch us live on Facebook and join in on the conversation, whatever it may be about, by commenting along. Normally, it's just people trolling us. In any case, today is Sunday, May 3rd, and beautiful Sunday afternoon, and I am joined all the way from New Jersey. He's sacrificing the beautiful weather outside to be here with you folks. Jeff, the animal Wilson. Jeff, how you feeling on this fine Sunday afternoon, my friend?
Bill, I'm good. It's finally a nice day out. Yesterday was nice, too. They actually opened up some parks yesterday, but I don't know what the trend is going to be. You know, we're still in quarantine up until May 15th. So, Bill, before we start, I just want to promote this book. Not that we're getting money for this or anything, but I've been reading one of my favorite authors. His name is Steve Berry. He does like history novels, but they're thriller spy novels. So they're very like National Treasury, very The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown, if you ever saw that movie. So he's got this series. His main character is named Cotton Malone, and he has a series of 15 books. I'm reading the first one, but this is the 7th book that I'm reading, but from him, but it's the first book in the series. And the cool thing is that none of them they are all related to each other. You know, they have the same main characters and stuff, but you can read them in any order without spoiling the other ones. There's probably one major event that happens later on in the series that might spoil something for you, but that doesn't happen too frequently. So he basically
Wait a second. There's 7 books, and you don't have to read them in any particular order, and it still makes sense?
Right, because each story is individual unto itself.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like the same main characters. Like you'll see Cotton Malone and everyone, his former boss, Stephanie Nell. So Cotton Malone's like a former government operative, and he's always getting called back to like help Stephanie Nell with things. But he's been retired for about a year, at least from the beginning of the very first novel. So you learn a little bit about Cotton Malone. He's divorced. He has a son that he doesn't always get along with, but he's trying to fix that relationship. So he's a regular guy. But it's cool seeing him, you know, get into these situations, and it's really cool to see how Steve Berry kind of uses historical events and turns them into like a really cool story.
Is the author related to Straw?
No. What do you mean?
Strawberry?
Oh man. Well, I think we've been quarantined for too long. We're running out of jokes.
Yeah. No, we'll never run out of jokes. But it's funny, these episodes, if anybody goes back to watch the archives of us during the quarantine, like we're always gonna have hats on because we can't get to a barber. And I was just telling you before we started recording, like my studio is upstairs in my house, and it's kind of hot up here because I don't have the air conditioning on during the day up here because nobody's up here. So it's really uncomfortable wearing a hat right now, but I would be even more uncomfortable if I didn't wear it. Speaking of strawberries, Jeff, you're promoting some fine literature. I'm promoting alcohol. Local beer I'm sipping on here. Tampa Bay Brewing Company. You've been there, Jeff. We've enjoyed quite a few pints of theirs during your visits here. And this is a strange beer because it's not something I thought I would like, but I was like, let me just try something different. I want to support a local brewery, which is something you guys should be doing too. Don't forget about your local breweries. It's great if you order from local restaurants and support small businesses, but don't forget about those breweries. Even if you really like your Budweiser or Miller Lite or whatever, those guys are going to be fine through all this. Go support some local breweries. So this is a Twisted Strawberry Fest. So it's a golden ale, Jeff, and it's got strawberry and lime juice. So three things that I don't particularly enjoy: golden ales, sweet, fruity stuff in the beer, and sour. But for some reason, the three things all combined together are actually really good. It's a really light, refreshing beer. You can see it's got like this light, kind of hazy golden color to it, and it tastes like real strawberry and lime. It's not like when something's strawberry flavored and it's like super sweet, like a strawberry candy or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, like it's not something I would normally get, like I said, but I was like, it's quarantine and I want to support one of my favorite breweries here. So I was like, let me try it out. And for some reason, it just works. Like I would never reach for a golden ale. I would never really reach for something like fruity. I would never reach for something sour, but for some reason, the way they all kind of play together, it just works. So it's a good beer, and I got it here in my buddy Guy glass. Jeff, buddy Guy, one of my favorite guitar players of all time. I had tickets to see him a couple of weeks ago, right here in Clearwater, and we all know how that went. Everything got shut down, and I was bummed about it because buddy Guy is, I think, 84 or 85 years old now, and the first time I saw him live, I think he was, I want to say 71. My dad was like, "Hey, I got tickets to go see buddy Guy," and I knew of him. I had seen him on like the Eric Clapton guitar festivals and stuff, but I was like, man, I don't want to go see like this old guy, and I don't really know any of his music. Jeff, it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. The guy blew it out of the water.
Nice.
That old man can still fucking shred, and his voice is incredible too. One of the great blues vocalists of all time. So yeah, I got my strawberry beer in my Buddy Guy glass, and Buddy Guy actually has his own beer. It's called Buddy Brew, or Buddy. I think it's Buddy's Brew. It's like
Buddy Ale.
Yeah, maybe. Buddy Brew makes more sense, but I don't know if I'm confusing myself because Buddy Brew is a coffee shop in Tampa. In any case, the beer is good. Support your local breweries. In addition to whatever other small businesses you've been supporting, if you order takeout, don't get it from like Applebee's. Get it from like a little mom and pop pizza shop or like the family owned Thai place. Stuff like that. Jeff, if you've been wondering about the shirt I'm wearing, this happens to be the first ever MMA on the Rocks t-shirt. We got
nice. Looks good.
We got the new logo, and my buddy Ryan from Team Reaper, his main company is Rip Life One. You can see I'm holding up the back of the shirt here. This is his logo with the American flag there, and it says Team Reaper at the bottom. And then on the front is our logo here, Jeff, MMA on the Rocks. Over the top, Under the Influence. You guys all know the slogan. We're coming up on 4 years with this thing, Jeff. So it's about damn time we started making some t-shirts. I don't know when they're going to be available for purchase. That's depending on a couple of things. There's a lot of uncertainty out there right now. And just like a lot of other things to prioritize. But the important thing is we got some samples printed, and we know what they're going to look like. And I'm happy with the way they came out. So I will keep everyone posted as soon as those are available. I know a lot of people have been asking for a long time about some merchandise, MMA on the Rocks merchandise. And, of course, we'll do some other fun stuff. Maybe we'll do some shot glasses or something. I'm still waiting to hear from a listener who's a graphic designer who can design your logo, Jeff. I need a panda bear eating a bowl of soup.
Dude, I mean, the shirt looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks cool, right?
Yeah, and I like they got the American flag on there on the back.
That's right.
Because we're nothing if not patriotic as well on this show, Bill.
That's true. That's true. We're very patriotic. We never talk about politics. We stay away from that shit. We leave that to the pundits and people on Facebook who like to argue with their family members.
I don't know where that came from, but I like it. Keep it up, Bill.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like all you see. The rare times when I go on Facebook and I just see people, and you know who stands where. It's not like it's not like the good old days, Jeff, where people could be like, kind of on the fence, or like, I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, but we still agree on certain issues. No, now it's like, you don't believe what I believe, you're the fucking enemy, and I want to burn your house down while your whole family's inside of it.
Yeah, Bill. The way I see it is whether you're left wing or you're right wing, it's the same bird. So who cares?
Yeah, I always say too far left or too far right, you're too far gone.
I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I live by. I'm not going to get into my politics on here, though, because I'll piss off more people than I normally do just talking about mixed martial arts. Let's see what else we got. Killer Hornets, Murder Hornets on their way. Apparently have made an appearance in North America just when you thought it was safe to go outside. And where do these murder hornets come from, Jeff? Of course, from Asia. Apparently, they've been spotted, and in Washington State, I believe, and they call them murder hornets because they murder honeybees, which of course is going to be terrible for the environment. They can kill people, but you would have to get stung like a lot of times by like a bunch of them to die. A lot of the headlines you see are just clickbait, scare tactics, like anything else. But it's an interesting thing to bring up with all this other shit we've been dealing with. It's like, oh, we can finally start to go outside again, like be safe, wear a mask. Like, oh wait, there's murder hornets now.
Well, Bill, I was actually reading a little bit about that just before we started, and it turns out that these things are like a danger for bee populations, like you said. Like a couple of them can take out a beehive in a few hours. So they go in there, they eat bee larvae, and then they decapitate bees. And if you get stung by one, it would take enough of them to kill you, but they release this neurotoxin. But like you said, it would take a couple of them to kill you. But these things are huge, Bill. They're like 2 inches, like, big. That's they can like fit in your hand pretty comfortably. So yeah, not so much a danger to us, but definitely a danger to bee populations, which bees pollinate flowers, flowers grow seeds and nuts and honey, and bees make honey, so that's important. So it could affect some food supply. But Bill, if the Asian continent has been able to deal with these things, I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I guess so. It's one of the few times in life where 2 inches sounds like a lot, Jeff.
Sometimes that's all you need, dude.
Yeah. 2 inches is a big bug. It's a small anything else.
Oh man.
What else we got? I don't want to jump right into MMA. I'm kind of enjoying this quarantine, like talking about other shit. Like let's see. I started watching this series last night on Netflix called Hollywood, and it's about this gas station that was in Hollywood. I'm not sure the time frame. I want to say like the 40s or 50s or somewhere around there. So it's like a period piece. And at this gas station, it's basically a male prostitution ring where I guess like older women and stuff that have a lot of money, they come to the gas station, they have a password. They say, I want to go to Dreamland. And that means the guy gets in the car and goes to a hotel. And, they do fun things there. And the guys make some money. And then the main character is like this struggling actor, and then he finds out that you, you know, that he can make a lot of money doing this, but then he finds out like he has to sleep with men also. Like a lot of men come to the gas station and they want to go to Dreamland too. So I guess it was a controversial topic for the time, but in Hollywood it was still pretty normal for just like dudes to have a lot of sex with each other. So it's pretty interesting. I watched about an episode and a half so far, and I'll keep giving it a try. It's something different than what I'm normally watching. Normally watch like a lot of horror movies and things like that. So trying to expand my horizons, Jeff, with the quarantine, And then I did watch the Waco series. So that was good. I thought it was well shot. I just felt like it was a little biased, where the obvious intention was to make the ATF and the FBI look really bad. Which, I mean, look, they made some bad calls there, but I think they sympathize with the cult a little bit too much, because if you know the real story of what was really going on there, they make David Koresh look like a really charismatic, like really compassionate guy, kind of like. I don't know. You guys watch it for yourselves and make up your minds. I don't want to give away too much, but I did think that it was written in a way to make you feel certain things.
Yeah.
So I talked to a couple of people about it, and there's varying opinions there. But watch it for yourselves. I don't want to spoil it, but it was a good little 6 or 7 episode series. So that was a good one. You got anything else you've been into, Jeff?
Yeah. So Bill, when I was in college, I was excuse me, working on my senior thesis, which is basically a really long paper, and then I had to defend it at the end of the year. So basically, prove my point. And the topic that I chose was Sherlock Holmes, because I am a really big fan of the Sherlock Holmes stories, and the point of my thesis was figuring out the influences behind the character Sherlock Holmes. So,
Jeff, are you sure that this was college and not elementary?
Bill, you're on fire, man. I'm loving it.
It's because we're doing this earlier in the day. So
man, we gotta do this we gotta start doing this at like 3:00 more often, man. Because you're on it today. You're sharp, dude. I love it. But anyway, yeah. So my topic was Sherlock Holmes and some of the influences behind the character. Because Bill, this guy was so popular at the time, which is 1800s, early 19th century. This guy was so popular that people were sending mail to his address thinking that somebody would respond. People thought he was a real person. And when these stories were written, you got to remember, there was no internet. They were being released in like newspapers. So people just became so enthralled by the character that they thought that he could actually help them. So the point is, after doing a lot of research, I fell in love with the character, the stories, the influences behind the character, because he was based on this actual college professor that the author had when he was in university. And that prompted me to start rewatching this BBC show called Sherlock. And it stars Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch. Cumberbatch is Sherlock on the series, and it got uploaded to Netflix. So I was really excited, and I've been rewatching it, and I just think that Cumberbatch just does such a good job of the character, and it's a more modern take on the Sherlock Holmes story. So he'll use like text messages, he uses his phone and the internet as resources, but I think the spirit of the Sherlock Holmes stories is definitely there, and it's just really entertaining because like they're always hanging out together. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. So one of the jokes that runs throughout the show is that they're dating each other, which is just hilarious because of how much time they spend together. So like little things like that are really good. But the whole spirit of the show is awesome, and the way he ends up solving mysteries, using technology to his advantage, using disguises. I just think all that stuff is just so cool.
Yeah, I'm sure Netflix will put together one where they actually are dating at some point.
Yeah.
But instead of like the magnifying glass, he has like an app on his phone that magnifies stuff. Is that a thing?
No, but he does text the cops all the time. He texts people. Like in one episode, one of the characters who's been murdered. She's not a main character, but she's been murdered, and he like finds her phone by texting the phone and stuff. So it's really clever how they do it, how they modernize it, which I'm all for as a Sherlock Holmes nerd.
Dude, I have to do that 3 times a day when my wife loses her phone. Like, call my phone. I can't find it. At least 3 times a day.
I believe it.
Not as much, not as
Believe
much
it.
anymore because we don't leave the house that much. But it's like always we're trying to go somewhere. Like, wait, do I have my phone? I gotta go back in the house. Call it so I can find it.
Yeah, I believe it.
I wish I could just talk to my phone and just say, "Claudia lost her phone again," and it just starts calling it.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's it, man. I haven't gotten too burnt out on the TV or anything yet because I've been, keeping busy with projects outside, and the kiddo owns the TV during the day. It's all Frozen, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo. She's added to her repertoire, and Moana as well. Which Moana is a pretty funny movie. It's got the Rock plays like this like a demigod kind of thing. Have you seen Moana, Jeff?
I have actually never watched that movie.
You would like it. It's a cute movie. It's got some good music, but yeah, the Rock plays like this Polynesian like god, and he sings and stuff. He's actually a good singer.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of his bits when he was in WWE. I remember there's one bit where he sang, and people would say about The Rock that like if he wasn't good at something, you wouldn't see it on screen. So I imagined he was a pretty good singer.
Yeah, he is. I've seen him like sing and play guitar a couple of times, couple of internet videos. Oh, and he's got his own tequila out now too, which
I didn't know that.
I gotta check that out. Or even better, we gotta have The Rock on the show.
Oh, let's make it happen, dude.
I don't want to ask him
Rock
anything
on the
about
rocks.
I don't want to ask him anything about wrestling. Just Moana and his tequila. That's all. It's the only thing I want to ask him about. Oh, and MMA. We could talk about MMA too.
Well, yeah, he presented Jorge Masvidal with his belt, so
yeah, there was a lot of talk of The Rock trying to come into MMA a couple of years ago. Yeah, it would have been a bad move.
Nah, he wouldn't pass a USADA test. He'd walk into a USADA building and it would just explode.
Remember like when he left the WWE though, and he like got off the steroids and he got like real lean? That happened for a little while.
Yeah, but then he like tripled in body mass. So that's, I don't think he'd pass a USADA test. Like, I think the guy who like administers the USADA test would just walk up to him and be like, "No."
Yeah, he would just like, dude, I can smell the steroids coming out of your sweat. He would just take like the litmus paper and let's just like wipe it on his arm and be like, dude.
Like, did you even try? Oh man.
Aren't you even gonna pull a John Jones and hide under the octagon?
No, I don't think you'd fit under there, dude.
Yeah, that's a big man. But yeah, I'd be interested to try his tequila.
Yeah, Bill, there was the Undertaker used to talk about getting into MMA, if like it had been around when he was in his prime. He actually like had a jiu-jitsu move as one of his finishers a couple years. Well, actually more like a decade ago.
Yeah, I remember that. It was awkward because he's like 6'8" and he'd be putting people in triangle chokes. Like, dude, what are you doing? You're dead. What are you gonna know jiu-jitsu for?
I think you should just retire.
The dude makes like $7 million to wrestle once a year. Like, it just, I mean, whatever.
That'd be great if he could wrestle. I mean, he's like 1,000 years old now.
Yeah, but you know, if he's still making the money, why would he retire?
I guess that's true. But
you come out, take a few bumps and bruises, and then he goes and recovers and rides motorcycles and shit and whatever he does. The Undertaker was awesome when he first came out. Like, that dude was scary, and he had that little fat guy Paul Bearer follow him around. Remember that guy?
Yeah, he was weird.
Yeah, that guy was fucking creepy too.
Yeah, I was talking about Paul Bearer. Dude, like, I think I was more scared of him than the Undertaker.
Yeah. That was when the wrestling was really fun. Like, I don't mean the time period. I mean, like, when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, then something happened after like 2006 where it just got really boring.
Very, very soap opera-ish.
Yeah.
And then they all had to get like clean cut, and like they couldn't party and do drugs anymore. Like, those were the best days too, when like Jake the Snake was like high on cocaine and he like fucking lost his snake, and he had to get a new python in every city he went to. It'd be like different colors and shit, and you're supposed to leave it. It's always the same snake. He would get so high on drugs and he would like lose it, or it would die in his luggage or something.
Oh man, Peter would have a field day nowadays with that.
Have you watched the Jake the Snake documentary, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake?
No.
Oh man, that's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It's Diamond Dallas Page, who was he was big in WCW back in the day.
Yeah.
And he created his own yoga system, which is like, the marketing essentially boils down to it's yoga for men, but it's like, it's doing yoga to like build strength. He never comes out and says like, yeah, it's yoga for men, but like, that's pretty much what it is, the way he's marketing it. But he goes and finds Jake the Snake, who's like an alcoholic and abusing drugs, and his kids won't talk to him. And he brings him to his home and like rehabilitates him and gets him sober and makes him do the yoga, and like basically like brings him back to life. I'm not ruining anything by telling you that, because the name of the documentary is The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. So obviously he gets resurrected. But yeah, the documentary is amazing. And then the follow-up to the documentary that you also need to watch is Jake the Snake on Joe Rogan Experience. But watch that after you watch the documentary. And then he tells some even more crazy stories about the pro wrestling back in the day. I love stuff like that. The stories of like the old pro wrestlers, and like all the crazy shit that would go on backstage, and all the drugs and the partying, like the Ric Flair 30 for 30 and the Andre the Giant HBO documentary. All that stuff is so interesting. Those guys were fucking animals. They would like party all night, like wake up and like lift weights, and then go do a show somewhere in like bumfuck Arkansas, and then to party all night there, and then move on to the next town, wake up and lift weights and do coke, and then put their bodies through like such a beating, which makes it even more amazing that some of these guys are still like able to do stuff, like guys like The Rock, because he was like right right at the tail end of all that.
Yeah.
So the fact that he can still do like movies and like, have all these different brands and everything and still be able to work out the way he does is amazing. Because a lot of these guys, they end up dying young from like heart failure, from all the drugs and all the steroids and everything else. Anyway, we've gone way off on a tangent now, Jeff. But Resurrection of Jake the Snake, that's a great documentary. I would definitely recommend that. And I don't think I really watched anything else that's worth mentioning. But that's an older one. That one I watched a while ago.
Okay, yeah, I might have to check that out.
Yeah, you'd like it. It's a wild story. And then throughout the course of it, like while he's rehabilitating in Diamond Dallas Page's house, he also brings in, there was this wrestler called Razor Ramon. You remember him?
Yeah.
So he was having like the same problem. So he brought him in the house too. So it was like the two of them. It was like he had like two big babies he was taking care of. He had like both like 6'6", like 300 something pounds, and just big babies.
Yeah, Scott Hall, I think, was his real name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was it. Scott Hall.
But speaking of real names, Bill, Bill, I don't want to believe the hype because, I'm more of a pessimist just because I would rather be surprised than disappointed.
Okay.
So Bill, there's rumors going around that May 9th, we finally get a card after after 28 weeks of quarantine.
Yeah.
Bill, what do you think? What are the chances of this happening?
I feel the same way I do as like the last time Nate Diaz was going to fight, where I was like, I'll believe it when the cage is locked and the referee says, let's fight. And like maybe 10 seconds after that. So I'm kind of in the same boat with this. Like I'm looking at the card in front of me right now, and top to bottom, it's one of the most stacked cards we've seen in a long time. So it's like, I don't want to get excited about it because so many things can go wrong. Like one, it's taking place in Florida. We all know what a shit show Florida is. It's going to be in Jacksonville, which is one of the worst places in Florida. Like a lot of the Florida man stories you hear, they either come from like Pasco County, which is over here on the west side, or like Jacksonville, and then like every other shithole in Florida that comes after that. So you got that. Then you got Disney that could come in and swing their dick around at any given moment. And you got ESPN could step in, and you got State Athletic Commission. The governor seems to be pretty laissez-faire about it. And this again relates to the WWE stuff because WWE or pro wrestling was declared an essential business in Florida because Linda McMahon is in Trump's pocket, and a whole bunch of politics there that we don't need to get into. It's neither here nor there, but because of that, the UFC kind of rode the coattails of that being essential to be able to put this event together. And he's not just doing one, Jeff. He's going to do 3 events within a week. It's going to be Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, I believe. But I guess let's play pretend for a little while, and let's say this thing actually happens. I guess we can break this down. Yeah, I don't know if I remember how to do this, Jeff. I'm a little rusty.
All right, Bill. Well, let me give you the first fight and just see what you think about it. So the main event on Saturday, Bill, and I'm not going to say next week because according to the Jewish calendar, it is next week. So this week's fight card, main event, is Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje for what would be Tony Ferguson's second interim title belt. at 155. Bill, what do you see happening here?
Well, the fight itself is really interesting because I love the fight because of these two guys that are never boring to watch. And they have, it's going to be an interesting stylistic matchup, but I hate this fight because it's going to possibly make it impossible for us to see Tony versus Khabib. You know, if Tony Ferguson loses here, then Justin Gaethje is going to be the interim champ. Khabib's not going to fight again until after Ramadan, sometime in September, I think he said. So then it would be Gaethje versus Khabib, September-ish. You know, Khabib's not one to jump right back in there. Tony Ferguson would have to put like 2 wins together. And at his age, like 35 or 36, it's not looking good for him to get back to that title picture. But for the actual fight itself, this is a fun fight. Tony Ferguson is a guy who can absorb a lot of punishment, but he gets hit a lot. And Justin Gaethje is not a guy that you want to let hit you a lot. And Tony's a good wrestler. He has very solid wrestling, but you know, Justin Gaethje was a D1 All-American. So good luck taking that guy down and avoiding those big power punches. So Tony's going to have a game plan where he holds Justin up against the cage, dirty boxing, use those sharp elbows, wear on his arms, try and get his arms tired. That's going to be the key to victory for Tony Ferguson here. For Justin Gaethje, we always know what the game plan for Justin Gaethje is. He has one speed, and that's go. And he's just going to be swinging for the fences, throwing in those nasty leg kicks. You're not going to see him attempt to take down. And if you do, he'll just pick you up and spike you on your head and let you right back up again so he keep punching you in the face. Which is why these are two of the most exciting fighters. You know, that if you look at that picture of the Tony Ferguson's like last 9 opponents or whatever it was, and it just looks like a fucking, like a serial killer spree. You know, it's like something out of a horror movie. It's like these 9 people survived Tony Ferguson, barely.
Bill, do you see anything in terms of cardio issues for either of these guys? Do you think that this goes to 5 rounds?
No, I don't. I see the most likely scenario for Tony winning is a cut stoppage. You know, Gaethje's a bleeder, and Ferguson's real good at cutting people in the right spots, right above the eyes with those elbows. And the most likely method of victory for Gaethje is a knockout. I mean, he's going to be trying to knock Tony out from start to finish. Like, he's not a guy who's just trying to edge out a decision and outpoint you. Neither guy is really. And as far as cardio, I don't think we've ever seen cardio issues from Justin Gaethje. We've just seen him, we just seen his brain shut off from getting hit too much. And like, even then he keeps fighting. Like, his instinct is to keep fighting. Even when his brain is like, dude, enough. Like, but his body's like, no, we gotta finish this. So, no, I don't see cardio being an issue, but I also don't see it going.
Hi, Ariana.
Going the full 5 rounds. And here's my daughter making her appearance on the show. Can you say hi, everybody?
Hi.
Hi, Ariana.
She's got her little stuffed elephant.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, that's Jeff. You say hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Ariana.
Okay. Can you go back with mommy and play?
Sorry.
Daddy's almost done with the show, and then I'll come play with you, okay?
Did fun?
Yeah, we're having fun. All right, we gotta talk about some fighting, okay? Can you go with mommy?
No.
She's an independent woman.
Oh man.
Harry, take it for a second, Jeff. I'm just gonna shut the door here.
Yeah, go for it. So, co-main event. Actually, I'll give you my opinions on Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. And Bill, I think you highlighted a lot of their strong points and stuff. I don't see this fight actually going to the ground too much, just because both of these guys, they enjoy the stand-up. And honestly, Bill, I think that their ground games would neutralize each other. I think that Tony Ferguson, while yes, Justin Gaethje is the better wrestler, I think that Tony Ferguson is not someone you want to be on top of just because he can fight off his back really, really well. We've seen him win fighting off his back, especially against Kevin Lee. So I don't know if we're going to see too much groundwork in this fight. I think it's going to be a stand-up war. And I think that your analysis of Tony Ferguson's road to victory, I think you're on the ball there. I think that he cannot give Justin Gaethje too much breathing room. He has to keep him up against the cage. He has to keep him, with his back to the wall here. So, Bill, I have a bias in this next one in the co-main event. We have Henry Cejudo versus the single greatest bantamweight of all time, Dominick Cruz.
TJ Dillashaw's not on this card.
No, we already beat TJ Dillashaw. We don't care about him. But Bill, I'm really excited. For me personally, as much as I'm excited for the main event, the co-main event, Henry Cejudo versus Dominick Cruz, I think is going to be a barn burner. I think that Dominick Cruz's footwork is going to have to be perfect in this fight. Henry Cejudo is someone who you don't want him getting his hands on you because of the wrestling. This dude won an Olympic gold medal in wrestling. His trash talk is cringeworthy, but the guy's a stud, man. Mm-hmm. He's won Olympic gold medal, 2 UFC belts in different weight classes. He's not someone that you want on top of you. His striking, while it has gotten better in his last couple of fights, he's still very straightforward, very right down the pipe. He's going to come forward at you. But I think that if Dominick Cruz can kind of stay out of his way a little bit, stay away from Henry Cejudo's power, I think he can win. But of course, Bill, I'm biased. So give me a more objective opinion on this.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth with this one. I think it's a smart call out by Cejudo, first of all, because Dominick Cruz is definitely not deserving of a title shot right now. I mean, he hasn't won a fight since 2016. So
he hasn't lost since 2016. What do you? What's not to deserve here? He's undefeated since 2016.
Well, there are a couple of people way ahead of him in line, like Aljamain Sterling. And then, there's the other division where Cejudo is the champ as well. We got Benavidez taking a backseat for this fight as well. Oh wait, Benavidez lost his last fight. Never mind. In any case, I think it would be easy for Cejudo to underestimate Dominick Cruz here. It's an older Dominick Cruz. It's coming off a long layoff. And that's the logical first thought where, Dominick Cruz is going to take advantage of Cejudo taking him lightly. But I don't think Cejudo takes anything lightly. The guy's a total goofball. Like Dominick Cruz says, he doesn't even really have an identity outside of like winning and competing. The guy knows when to turn it on. When he's focused on something, he's 100%. He wants to win, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. What can he do to win against Dominick Cruz? That's going to be the hard part. Because Dominick Cruz's style is a really bad matchup for Henry Cejudo, who, like you said, he comes straight forward. He's added some good boxing and some power punching, to his toolbox since he started in MMA, which wasn't even that long ago, if you think about it. And yeah, his wrestling is phenomenal, but Dominick Cruz is a great wrestler too. And good luck getting a hold of one of Dominick Cruz's legs. The guy's legs move nonstop. And for a wrestler, that's one of the hardest things to deal with. You go to grab a leg and it's not there, and then you're getting hit with a punch on the way up, or you're getting hit with a knee on the way up, for changing levels to try and grab that leg that's just not going to be there. So the constant movement of Dominick Cruz, I think Cejudo is going to have a hard time with it. What he needs to do is cut off the cage, force Dominick Cruz to back up, and bully him. And that's the key to victory for Henry Cejudo there. For Dominick Cruz, we know what he's going to do. It's just, can Henry Cejudo stop it? I don't think so, but I tend to underestimate Henry Cejudo every time. I didn't think he was going to beat Dillashaw. I didn't think he was going to beat Mighty Mouse. And, the guy just finds ways to win. So I think it's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And yeah, just seeing Henry Cejudo, overcome the odds, because a lot of people were nervous he wasn't going to win an Olympic gold medal either. He, coming out of high school, went into, the national team basically. So really interesting story for Henry Cejudo. NBC just released the video of him winning the gold medal. So if you haven't watched it, definitely go check it out. They talk a little bit about his family. So for me, that kind of hit home, as another young Hispanic. So seeing Henry Cejudo, overcome the odds essentially, was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know, Bill. It could go either way with this one, but that's what's so exciting about it, is that unpredictability. And this isn't, I don't know, man. I just feel like Dominick Cruz, he moves better than Dillashaw. He's not going to be, doing an extreme weight cut that he hasn't done before. This is nothing new to Dominick Cruz. But Henry Cejudo also, has a lot of advantages coming from 125 to 135.
Yeah.
So Bill.
And the other thing about Dominick Cruz is, he's had a long layoff, but he won't get in that cage unless he's ready to get in the cage, which is why he takes so much time off to heal his injuries and stuff like that. And he also doesn't believe in ring rust. Now, you can agree with him or you can disagree with him, but if he doesn't believe in it and he's able to fight like he doesn't believe in it, and it's not a factor for him, then it's not going to be a factor. It's like if you believe something works, then it works. If you take a certain supplement and you think it makes your knee pain go away, then it makes your knee pain go away, even if it scientifically doesn't do that. So that's something to think about. But speaking of scientifically, two genetic freaks, Francis Ngannou and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I've been telling you guys about Rozenstruik for well over a year now, to keep your eye on this guy. The guy was a monster in Muay Thai. He's got a ton of striking experience, 10-0 in MMA, almost saw his first loss against Aleksei Overeem in his last fight. Took a beating from Overeem. Overeem was going to win that fight handily, and then he got his face busted open. One of the most vicious injuries from a punch I've ever seen, when Rozenstruik connected with Overeem's lip and just almost knocked it off his face. I hope we're not going to see another Derek Lewis Francis Ngannou fight, but I don't think we will. Rozenstruik is not afraid to engage with anybody, and he's not afraid to get hit. That could be his downfall with someone like Ngannou, because he might be able to take, Aleksei Overeem's best shot, like a later in career Aleksei Overeem, but you're not going to take a whole lot of shots from Francis Ngannou. This guy is a fucking human monster truck.
That's an accurate description.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Bill, I'm excited, man. I think someone goes to sleep probably in that first round. I think that, like you said, Ngannou, his strikes come at you hard, and I think that Rozenstruik is not going to want to deal with that, so he's going to want to finish early as well. When the power is, nobody's tired yet, nobody has been throwing too many punches, nobody has been exerting themselves, so I think there's going to go, it's going to be put to bed in the first round. I think that neither one wants to deal with the other's power, and the best way to deal with that is to take him out in the first round. So I think both of these guys are going to be swinging for the fences. It's going to be a really exciting fight. I agree with you. I really don't think we're going to see another Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou here. But Bill, I'm excited for a lot of these fights, man. Jeremy Stevens versus Calvin Kattar. We have Donald Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis 2 on here. Aleksei Oleinik versus Fabricio Werdum. Bill, any fights that stand out to you on this card? Which ones? What's your dark horse pick here?
Oh, the fight of the night for me, the obvious choice is Jeremy Stevens and Calvin Kattar. These are two guys who both like to come forward. They're both used to chasing their opponents. Calvin Kattar has much cleaner striking, much cleaner boxing. If he can keep Jeremy Stevens at the end of his jab, that would be good for him. And we're going to see him really get tested in a way that we haven't seen him tested before, because he's used to hunting his opponents down. You don't have to hunt for Jeremy Stevens. He lets you know exactly where he's going to be, and that's going to be right in your face. As far as ferocity, these are two of the most ferocious guys in the division. I would give Jeremy Stevens a little bit of the edge there. So is the cleaner technique going to be enough to kind of quiet the ferocious edge that Jeremy Stevens has? I don't know. And these are both guys who can take a punch. So this one could end in 15 seconds. It could be, a slugfest for 15 minutes. Either way, I think it's going to be, the spectacle of the night, if I had to pick one.
Nice.
And then, Pettis and Cerrone is a rematch from, the WEC. And Pettis knocked out Cerrone with a body kick in that first fight, in the first round, like a minute something into the first round, if I remember correctly. And I'll find the year for you guys right now. That was in 2013. So 7 years ago. Both guys have been through a lot. Anthony Pettis would go on to become UFC champion. After that, they both have had ups and downs in their careers. This one is like, who's going to show up? Are the best Cowboy against the best Pettis? Probably not. It's like, if the best Cowboy shows up, Cowboy's going to win. If the best Pettis shows up, Pettis is going to win. It's like flip a coin here. Let's see. Werdum and Oleinik is a really fun fight. I see Werdum probably trying to keep this one on the feet. He does a lot of the wild striking and stuff. He could very easily knock Oleinik out in the first round. If it goes to the ground, that's what I really want to see, because you have two of the best grapplers in the history of the heavyweight division here. I would love to see some grappling exchanges here. I just don't know how likely it is. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, dude, I agree with you. I want to see it. I don't know if we're going to, though. Oleinik is just as good on the feet as he is on the ground. Fabricio Werdum also has shown some improved striking. But, man, I wouldn't be upset if they turn this into just a grappling match, dude. You have multiple-time jiu-jitsu world champion in Fabricio Werdum, and Aleksei Oleinik, who was no slouch either, man, famous for that Ezekiel choke where he's facing you, which, that Ezekiel choke where he's on the bottom, you never see that. You have to have an unbelievable squeeze for that, dude.
Yeah.
Half the Ezekiel choke is gravity doing its work for you. So I'm really excited for that one. Bill, I'm excited for this entire card, man. I mean, the first fight on the prelims, because I'm on Wikipedia right now. Yeah, if it happens. Yeah, sorry, I forgot I'm a pessimist. So if it happens, I'm really excited for Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza, this is the first fight on the prelims, dude. And then on the early prelims, you have Vicente Luque versus Nico Price, Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey. I mean, this card top to bottom is unbelievable. Yeah, it's so unbelievable that I really, really hope it happens.
Yeah, Charles Rosta and Bryce Mitchell, the undefeated Bryce Mitchell, who's been campaigning for his camouflage fight kit I don't know if they delivered on that or not. And then we got Carla Esparza and Michelle Waterson, so the former champ and the former. Oh no, she never fought for the title. Never mind. And
Well,
just
she was a champ in Invicta.
That's true. But
yeah, but that one's gonna
pounds.
be. Yeah, that one's gonna be great, dude. Carla Esparza, someone we haven't seen in a while. Michelle Waterson always puts on a really good show. So top to bottom, Bill, this whole card looks really, really good.
Yeah. That Vicente Luque and Nico Price fight is gonna be nuts. Also, Nico Price is a guy you never know what you're gonna get from that dude. He's fucking crazy.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, now I'm officially excited about this card, Jeff. So thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel horrible if this fight doesn't take place.
We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna talk about next week, like just more Netflix movies and stuff. Which I guess people like. I've been getting some good feedback on the episodes lately. People kind of like when we talk about random bullshit. Not just like MMA all the time, but we did have a mission when we first started this thing almost 4 years ago, Jeff.
Yeah, but we didn't account on a global pandemic, ruining our plans there.
That's true. All right. Well, I got plans to grill some burgers and have a couple more beers. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. And you got anything else you want to get off your chest?
No, I just enjoyed having your daughter come on the show, man. It was hilarious because I do you couldn't see it, but I saw her like walk right at the corner of the screen, just walk in.
Oh, I saw it.
You did?
Yeah. I just had to keep my poker face,
Oh man, it was awesome.
Yeah, she makes an appearance every now and then when she sneaks up on me. This is why we usually do the episodes at night now. she'll somehow like hunt me down in the house and find where I am. And even if I lock the door, it's still she's hard to wrangle, man. She's freakishly strong for a 2-year-old. So now I gotta go play with her and make some burgers and just chill with her, watch some Frozen, maybe Moana. I don't know. In any case, UFC 249. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but if it does,
now it has to happen. Now we talked about it.
Yeah, we can will it to happen, Jeff. We just put those positive vibes out there. All right. I'll keep you guys posted on the shirts, and remember to support your local breweries. Again, Tampa Bay Brewing Company. They're not a sponsor, but I want to give them another shout out because they're one of my favorite breweries. So if you guys live in the Tampa Bay area, please go and support them. Stop buying your big brand beers for a little while and go support some small breweries. And that's it, man. I hope everybody's staying safe out there. We'll keep doing this show no matter what happens, whether there's a card next week or not. We'll be here. Same rocks time, same rocks channel. All right. That's all we got. Until next time. Cheers, everybody. Goodbye.